Amanda lay in bed next to Zefkar, pretending to sleep. His breathing was slow and steady, and she could see that his skin had turned the pale blue color it became when he was deeply asleep. She had been waiting for 3 hours for this moment. Carefully, she touched the pendant around her neck. Over the past week, the voices of the dead species had been teaching her how to use the neural network. It was like learning to use a computer with her mind instead of her hands. "Are you ready?" the voices whispered in her head. "Yes," Amanda thought back. "Help me reach Earth." She felt her consciousness flowing through the pendant into the vast network that connected the entire Velthari Empire. It was like swimming through an ocean of information. She could see data streams flowing in all directions, carrying messages between ships, planets, and government facilities. The voices guided her through the network, showing her how to avoid the security systems that would detect her presence. They led her to a communication relay station near the edge of Velthari space, close to Earth. "From here, you can send a message to your solar system," the voices said. "But you must be very careful. The message cannot be too obvious, or the Velthari will detect it." Amanda concentrated on the image of Ben Rodriguez in his laboratory on Earth. She focused all her thoughts on him and began to transmit. On Earth, Ben was working late in his lab when his computer started acting strangely. The screen flickered and strange symbols appeared on it. At first, he thought it was a virus, but then he recognized the pattern. It was the same blinking pattern Amanda had used in her video message. The symbols on the screen slowly changed into letters, then words. Ben realized he was receiving a message that was being typed by an invisible hand. "Ben, this is Amanda. Do not trust the Velthari. They plan to destroy Earth. Hidden fleet in asteroid belt. 300 ships. Attack in 5 months during renewal ceremony. They harvest human emotions. 100 million will be captured. Rest will be killed. Government must prepare. Tell Lisa Wright. Find President Hayes. Make humanity ready for war. This is our only warning." The message repeated 3 times, then the screen went blank. Ben stared at the computer, his heart racing. He picked up his phone and called Lisa Wright. "Lisa, I just got a message from Amanda. You need to come to my lab right now." "Ben, it's 3 a.m. This can't wait. Amanda is in danger, and so is all of humanity." An hour later, Lisa was in Ben's lab with 2 other Navy officers. Ben showed them the recorded message, and Lisa's face went pale as she read it. "If this is true, we have 5 months to prepare for the biggest war in human history," Lisa said. "Do you think the government will believe us?" Ben asked. "They have to. We have evidence about the missing ships, and now we have a direct warning from Amanda. I'll set up a meeting with the president." 2 days later, Ben and Lisa sat in the White House with President Robert Hayes and his top military advisors. The president was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He listened carefully as they explained everything they had learned. "So, you're telling me that the aliens we've been working with for the past year are planning to wipe out humanity?" the president asked. "Yes, sir," Lisa said. "And they have a fleet of 300 ships hiding in our solar system." General Kate Morrison, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, leaned forward. "Have we detected any ships in the asteroid belt?" "We sent 3 deep space probes to investigate," Lisa said. All 3 probes stopped transmitting when they reached the outer edge of the belt. "That's not a coincidence." The president stood up and walked to the window. "If this is true, we're facing an enemy with technology far beyond our own. What chance do we have?" "Amanda's message said to make humanity ready for war," Ben said. "She must believe we can fight them. Or she believes we should try, even if we can't win," General Morrison said. The president turned back to the group. "What do you recommend?" "First, we need to confirm that the fleet is really there," Lisa said. "Then we need to unite the entire human race for defense. And how do we do that without causing panic?" "We tell them the truth," Ben said. "Humans are strongest when they're fighting for survival." That evening, President Hayes addressed the world. Every television station, radio station, and internet platform carried his message. He sat behind his desk in the Oval Office, looking directly into the camera. "My fellow humans," he began, "I am speaking to you tonight about a threat to our very existence. 3 days ago, we received evidence that the alien species known as the Velthari, who we believe were our friends, are actually planning to attack and destroy our civilization." The president explained everything they had learned. He told the world about the missing ships, about Amanda's warning, and about the hidden fleet in the asteroid belt. "We have approximately 5 months to prepare for this attack," he said. "I am asking every nation, every corporation, and every person on Earth to join together for one purpose: the survival of humanity." The reaction around the world was immediate. In some places, there was panic. People tried to flee to remote areas or hide in underground shelters. But in most places, there was something else. Anger and determination in factories around the world. Workers volunteered to work around the clock building weapons and spacecraft. Scientists from every country shared their research freely, working together to develop new technologies. Military forces from every nation began training together, preparing for a war unlike any in human history. In China, engineers worked day and night to convert civilian spacecraft into military vessels. In Russia, weapons factories that had been idle for decades roared back to life. In Europe, scientists worked on new types of armor and shields. In Africa, miners dug deeper than ever before to find the rare metals needed for advanced weapons. But the most important change was in how humans thought about themselves. For the first time in history, the entire species was united against a common enemy. Old conflicts were set aside. Nations that had been enemies for generations began working together. Rich and poor, young and old, people of every race and religion joined the effort to save humanity. Dr. Ben Rodriguez found himself leading a team of the world's best scientists. They were working on understanding Velthari, technology based on the information that Amanda continued to send through her neural link. "Look at this," Ben said to his team one day. "Amanda says the Velthari ships use energy shields for protection, but the shields have to be lowered when they fire their weapons. That gives us a window of opportunity," said Dr. Sarah Kim, a physicist from South Korea. "If we can time our attacks right, we can hit them when they're vulnerable." Amanda also says they've never fought an enemy that uses nuclear weapons, said Dr. Carlos Mendez from Mexico. "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not atomic explosions." The team worked for weeks developing new strategies. They designed small, fast ships that could get close to the Velthari vessels and deliver nuclear warheads. They created new types of weapons that could overload the alien energy systems. Meanwhile, Commander Lisa Wright was training the new human space fleet. Every country had contributed ships, and they had built dozens of new vessels using plans that Amanda had sent through the neural link. "Remember," Lisa told her pilots, "we're not trying to match their technology. We're trying to use our advantages. We're faster to adapt, we're more unpredictable, and we're fighting for our homes." Captain Danny Miller, a former Air Force pilot, raised his hand. "What if they have weapons we don't know about? Then we adapt," Lisa said. "That's what humans do. We figure out solutions when other species give up." As the months passed, Earth transformed into a fortress. Space stations were built at key points around the solar system. Asteroid mines were converted into weapon platforms. The moon became a giant military base, but the most important changes were happening in the human spirit. People who had never thought about space travel volunteered to be fighters. Families who had lived comfortable lives gave up everything to support the war effort. Children as young as 10 years old learned how to operate emergency systems. Amanda continued to send information through the neural link, but each message was more dangerous than the last. The Velthari were starting to suspect that their neural network was being accessed. She had to be more careful with each transmission. In one of her last messages, she sent the most important information yet. The Velthari have never faced an enemy that fights with emotion instead of logic. They expect you to surrender when you see their superior technology. But humans don't surrender when they're protecting their families. Use this. Make them confused. Attack in ways that don't make sense to them. Be unpredictable. Be human. She also sent detailed information about Velthari psychology. They are overconfident because they have always won easily. They have never had to adapt their tactics because no species has ever surprised them. They think in patterns that go back thousands of years. Break those patterns. President Hayes. Read Amanda's messages and called another meeting with his advisors. Amanda is risking her life to give us this information, he said. We can't waste it. How do we use human unpredictability as a weapon? General Morrison smiled. We fight like humans. We use tactics that would be considered crazy by any logical species. We sacrifice individual ships to save Asterisk. Amanda sat across from Emperor Colthane in the most beautiful dining room she had ever seen. The walls were made of crystal that showed moving pictures of space, and the table was carved from a single piece of stone that glowed with its own light. The food in front of her looked like art, but she could barely eat anything. Her stomach was too tight with fear. The Emperor was even taller than Zefkar, and his diamond skin was darker, almost black. His eyes were a deep red color that never changed, unlike his son's eyes that shifted with his emotions. When he spoke, his voice was so deep that Amanda could feel it in her chest. You have been married to my son for 2 weeks now, the Emperor said, cutting his food with a knife that looked like it was made of liquid metal. How do you find life in our empire? It is very different from Earth, Amanda said carefully. She had been practicing how to speak to the Emperor without showing her fear or anger. I imagine it is. Your species is so young, so innocent. It must be overwhelming to see how advanced civilizations truly work. Amanda touched the pendant around her neck. The voices of the dead species had been teaching her how to hide her thoughts from the Velthari. They had shown her mental exercises that would keep her mind protected while she gathered information. Your son has been showing me many interesting places, she said. Ah, yes, the combat arenas. Zefkar told me you were upset by them. This is understandable. Your species has not yet learned to appreciate the natural order of things. The natural order? The Emperor smiled, and Amanda saw that his teeth were sharp like a predator's. The strong rule the weak. The intelligent guide the simple. The advanced protect the primitive. This is how the galaxy has worked for millions of years. And humans are primitive? Compared to us, yes, but that is not an insult, my dear. It is simply a fact. Your species is very young. You have only been traveling in space for a few decades. We have been exploring the galaxy for over 100,000 years. Amanda nodded and took a small bite of food. It tasted like nothing she had ever experienced, sweet and salty at the same time. What is your plan for humanity? Plan? The Emperor laughed. We do not make plans for young species. We simply help them find their proper place in the galactic community. And what place is that? The Emperor stood up and walked to the crystal wall. With a wave of his hand, the wall showed a map of the galaxy. Amanda could see thousands of star systems with different colors marking different areas. This is our empire, he said, pointing to a huge section of the map that was colored gold. We rule over 847 star systems and 2,341 different species. Each species has found its proper role in our society. What roles do they play? Some are workers, some are entertainers, some are soldiers, some are food producers, some are researchers. Each species does what it is best suited for. Amanda felt the pendant getting warm. The voices were trying to tell her something, but she had to be careful not to react in a way that would make the Emperor suspicious. What role would humans play? She asked. The Emperor turned back to her, and his red eyes seemed to glow brighter. Humans are very special. Your species has something that no other species we have encountered possesses. What is that? Your Emotions. Most species feel basic emotions like fear, anger, and contentment. But humans feel emotions with an intensity that is remarkable. Love, hate, joy, despair, hope, rage. And these emotions create a type of energy that is very valuable. Amanda tried to keep her face calm, but inside she was screaming. Energy? Yes. When a human feels strong emotions, your brain produces electrical patterns that can be harvested and converted into a form of energy that extends life. One human experiencing intense fear for an hour can provide enough energy to extend a Velthari life by 1 year. The Emperor walked back to the table and sat down. He picked up a crystal glass filled with liquid that moved like it was alive. We have been testing this with the humans we captured from your exploration ships. The results are extraordinary. You captured humans? Of course. How else would we learn about your species? Your government was told that these ships were lost in accidents, but they were actually brought to our research facilities. We studied your biology, your psychology, your social structures. We learned everything we needed to know. Amanda felt sick, but she forced herself to keep eating. And what did you learn? We learned that humans are perfect for our needs. You breathe quickly, you live long enough to be useful, and your emotions are incredibly strong. We also learned that you can be controlled fairly easily if the right pressure is applied. Controlled? Through fear, through love, through hope. Your species responds very well to emotional manipulation. For example, your marriage to my son was designed to make humanity feel safe and accepted. While you were celebrating your wedding, we were positioning our fleet around your solar system. Amanda's hand froze halfway to her mouth. Your fleet? 300 ships carrying 2 million soldiers. They have been hiding in the asteroid belt beyond your outermost planet for the past month. Your space monitoring systems cannot detect them because we have technology that makes our ships invisible to your instruments. The Emperor took a drink from his glass and continued talking like he was discussing the weather. The plan is quite simple. In 5 months, during our renewal ceremony, we will reveal our ships and demand that Earth surrender. Your government will have no choice but to agree. And then what? Then we will begin the harvest. We will take approximately 100 million humans to our processing facilities. These humans will be kept alive and made to experience strong emotions on a regular schedule. The emotional energy they produce will be harvested and used to extend the lives of our noble families. Amanda could barely breathe. And the rest of humanity? The rest will be eliminated. This is also part of the renewal ceremony. Every 1,000 years, we choose one species to completely remove from the galaxy. This demonstrates our power and prevents other species from thinking they can rebel against us. You're going to kill 7 billion people? We are going to remove a potential threat to galactic stability. Your species breeds too quickly and spreads too fast. If we allowed you to continue growing, you might eventually become powerful enough to challenge us. This cannot be allowed. Amanda felt tears starting to form in her eyes, but she forced them back. Why are you telling me this? Because you are part of the plan. You will be the perfect test subject for our emotional harvesting process. Your marriage to my son has created strong emotional bonds that will produce very pure energy when those bonds are broken. You mean when you kill Zefkar? Oh no, my dear. We will not kill him. We will simply make you watch as we harvest the emotions from other humans. Your love for your species, combined with your helplessness to save them, will create emotional energy of the highest quality. The Emperor stood up again and walked around the table to stand behind Amanda's chair. You see, the pendant you wear is not just a communication device. It is also a neural interface. Over the past 2 weeks, it has been mapping your brain and learning how your emotions work. Amanda felt the pendant burning against her skin. You've been controlling my thoughts? Not controlling. Monitoring. We needed to understand how human minds work before we begin the harvest. Your brain patterns have been very instructive. But the pendant has been showing me things, memories of other species. The Emperor laughed. Yes, we designed it to do that. We wanted to see how you would react to learning about our other conquests. Your response has been exactly what we predicted. Fear, anger, despair, all very useful emotions. Amanda realized that everything she thought she had learned was part of their plan. The voices she heard, the memories she saw, even her growing. Knowledge of the Velthari was all designed to make her feel hopeless and afraid. However, the Emperor continued, there is one thing we did not expect. What? Your brain is fighting the neural interface. Most species accept the device and become docile within a few days, but your mind keeps trying to break free. This is very unusual. The Emperor walked back to his chair and sat down. This resistance is actually beneficial for our purposes. It creates additional emotional stress, which produces more energy. But it also means that you might be able to access parts of the neural network that we did not intend. Amanda's heart was racing. What do you mean? The pendant connects to our main information system. It was designed to only receive data, not send it. But if your mind is strong enough to resist our controls, you might be able to reverse the connection. And do what? Send information back to your people. Warn them about what is coming. Not that it would matter. Your species lacks the technology to fight us. But it might make the emotional harvest more interesting if they knew what was happening to them. The Emperor finished his drink and stood up. This has been a very pleasant conversation, my dear. I look forward to seeing how your brain responds to the next phase of our testing. He walked toward the door, then stopped and turned back. Oh, and Amanda, do not think that you can escape or fight back. You are on a ship in the middle of our empire, surrounded by our soldiers. And even if you somehow manage to get away, we would simply begin to harvest early. Your people would die before you could warn them. Dr. Ben Rodriguez sat in his lab on Earth, staring at the computer screen. Something was wrong with the data from Amanda's last message. She had sent a normal video message to her friends and family, talking about how beautiful the alien worlds were and how kind her new husband was. But Ben knew Amanda better than anyone. They had worked together for 5 years, and he could tell when she was lying in the video. Amanda kept touching the crystal pendant around her neck. She did it 7 times during the 10-minute message. Amanda never played with jewelry. She also blinked in a strange pattern when she talked about the wonderful traditions of her husband's people. Ben had studied body language as part of his xenobiology training, and he knew these were signs of distress. Ben picked up his phone and called Commander Lisa Wright at the Navy Space Command. Lisa had been Amanda's friend since college, and she had helped plan the security for Amanda's wedding. Lisa, I need to talk to you about Amanda, Ben said when she answered. What about her? She looked happy in her last message. That's the problem. She looked too happy, and she was giving signals that something was wrong. Lisa was quiet for a moment. Can you come to my office? I have some files you might want to see. An hour later, Ben was sitting in Lisa's office. At the Navy building, the room was small and had no windows. Lisa locked the door and turned on a device that would stop anyone from listening to their conversation. I've been looking into our first contact with the Velthari, Lisa said. The official story doesn't match what really happened. She opened a file on her computer. According to the public reports, the Velthari contacted us first. They sent peaceful messages and invited us to meet them. But look at this. Lisa showed Ben a document marked Top Secret. It was a report from Deep Space Monitor Station 7, located at the edge of the solar system. The report was dated 3 months before the official first contact. Station 7 picked up distress signals from the exploration ship New Horizon, Lisa said. The ship was sending emergency messages saying they were being attacked. The signals stopped suddenly. Ben read the report carefully. The New Horizon had been exploring a star system about 50 light years from Earth. The last message from the ship said, unknown vessels approaching. They are not responding to our peace signals. They are powering weapons. We are trying to escape, but... Oh, God, they're firing on us. What happened to the ship? Ben asked. Officially, lost in space. Equipment failure. But 3 days after we lost contact with the New Horizon, the Velthari sent their first diplomatic message to Earth. Lisa showed Ben another file. This is a list of all the human ships that have gone missing in the last 2 years. 15. Ships, Ben. That's over 300 people. Ben felt cold as he read the list. Most of the ships were exploration vessels, but some were trade ships and research vessels. All of them had disappeared in areas of space that were now part of the Velthari Empire. The government knows about this? Ben asked. Some people know, but the Velthari convinced our leaders that working with them was better than fighting them. They showed us their technology, their weapons. They made it clear that if we didn't cooperate, they could destroy Earth. So Amanda's marriage was part of a deal? Amanda doesn't know that. She thinks she fell in love with an alien prince. But yes, her marriage was arranged to show that humans and Velthari could work together. Ben stood up and walked around the small room. We have to. Warn her. We can't. All communications to Amanda go through Velthari systems. They read everything. Then we have to find another way. Lisa pulled up another file. I've been working on that. Look at this. The file contained technical information about the crystal pendant that Amanda wore. The Velthari gave this to Amanda as a wedding gift. They said it was a family treasure. But our scientists studied the design, and we think it's some kind of communication device. You mean they're using it to spy on her? Maybe. Or maybe it's designed to control her thoughts. We don't know enough about their technology. Ben studied the technical diagrams. What if it works both ways? What if Amanda could use it to send messages to us? That's what I'm hoping. But we need to be careful. If the Velthari find out we're trying to communicate with Amanda, they might hurt her. Meanwhile, in space, Amanda was learning more terrible truths about her husband's people. The pendant around her neck had been getting warmer every day, and she was starting to hear voices in her head. At first, she thought she was going crazy. But the voices were getting clearer. She was sitting in the garden of their hotel when she first understood what the voices were saying. It was like hearing a radio station that was far away and hard to hear, but slowly the words became clear. Help us, the voices said. They killed our families. They destroyed our world. Amanda touched the pendant, and suddenly she could see images in her mind. She saw a beautiful planet with blue oceans and green forests. She saw cities full of people who looked almost human, but with longer arms and golden skin. She saw Velthari ships arriving at the planet. She saw the cities burning. Who are you? Amanda whispered. We are the Kepler people, the voices said. We lived on the fourth planet in the Kepler 442 system. The Velthari came to our world 50 years ago. They said they wanted to trade with U.S., but they lied. Amanda saw more images. She saw the Kepler people being captured and taken to ships. She saw them being sold like animals. She saw them fighting and dying in arenas for the entertainment of the Velthari. How are you talking to me? Amanda asked. The pendant, the voices said. It contains the memories of all the species the Velthari have destroyed. They keep our memories as trophies. But we have learned to use the device to communicate. Amanda felt sick. She realized that the beautiful crystal pendant was made from the stored memories of dead people. It was like wearing a graveyard around her neck. How? Many species have they destroyed? She asked. Hundreds, the voices said. Over thousands of years, they have killed entire worlds. They are not traders or diplomats. They are hunters. And humans are their next prey. That night, Amanda pretended to sleep while Zefkar sat by the window, reading from a crystal tablet. When she was sure he was not watching, she touched the pendant again. Can you tell me more about what they plan to do to Earth? She whispered. The voices told her about the Velthari ranking system. They explained that all species were given numbers from 1 to 10, with 10 being the strongest and 1 being the weakest. The Velthari ranked themselves as 10. They rank humans as 4. What does it mean to be ranked 4? Amanda asked. It means you are considered useful, but not important, the voices said. You can be used for work, for fighting, for experiments. But you have no rights. You are property. Amanda learned that the Velthari had been studying humans for 2 years. They had captured the crews of the missing ships and tested them. They had learned about human biology, human emotions, and human society. They discovered something special. About humans, the voices said. Human emotions create a type of energy that the Velthari can use to extend their lives. They plan to harvest this energy from your entire species. Harvest? What does that mean? It means they will capture millions of humans and keep them in facilities where they will be made to feel strong emotions. Fear, anger, sadness. The Velthari will feed on these emotions like food. But the process slowly kills the humans who are being harvested. Amanda felt tears running down her face. How long do humans have? The renewal ceremony happens in 6 months, the voices said. It is an old tradition where the Velthari demonstrate their power by destroying an entire species. This time, they have chosen humanity. I have to warn Earth, Amanda said. We have been trying to help others like you, the voices said. But we are weak. We are just memories now. You are the first person who has been able to hear us clearly. Why can I hear you when others couldn't? Because you are wearing the pendant of the royal family. It is the most powerful memory device they have. And because you are still alive and fighting. The others gave up hope. Amanda spent the rest of the night learning about the Velthari from the voices of the dead. She learned about their weapons, their ships, their weaknesses. She learned that they were not as strong as they appeared. They had ruled the galaxy through fear and trickery, not because they were truly superior. There is hope, the voices told her. The Velthari have never faced a species like humans. Other species fought with honor and followed rules. But humans fight to survive no matter what it takes. As the sun rose, Amanda made a decision. She had to find a way to get a message to Earth. She had to warn her people about what was coming. And she had to find a way to fight back against the Velthari. She looked at Zefkar, who was still reading by the window. He looked so peaceful and beautiful. But now she knew the truth. He was not her loving husband. He was her captor, and she was his prisoner. The pendant around her neck grew warm again, and she heard the voices one more time. We will help you, they said. We will teach you everything we know, but you must be careful. If the Velthari discover that you know the truth, they will kill you before you can warn your people. Amanda nodded silently. She was no longer just a scientist on her honeymoon. She was humanity's only hope for survival. Amanda woke up in a bed that felt like sleeping on clouds. The room around her was made of some kind of crystal that changed colors with the light. She could see 3 different suns outside the window, all shining different colors across the sky. This was her 3rd day on the honeymoon, and she still could not believe she was married to an alien prince. Zefkar stood by the window, his tall figure blocking some of the strange light. His skin looked like it was made of diamonds, and it sparkled when he moved. Amanda still found it hard to believe that this beautiful creature was her husband. When he turned to look at her, his eyes were a soft blue color. She had learned that blue meant he was happy. Good morning, my wife, he said in his deep voice that sounded like music. Today we visit Zarian 3. It is one of my favorite places in our empire. Amanda smiled and got out of bed. The gravity here was lighter than Earth, so she felt like she was floating a little when she walked. She put on the dress that Zefkar had given her. It was made of fabric that seemed to move by itself, like it was alive. What kind of place is Zarian 3? She asked as they walked toward their ship. It is a place where my people go to have fun, Zefkar said. You will see many interesting things there. Their ship was beautiful, made of the same crystal material as their room. When they got inside, Amanda felt the ship start to move, but there was no sound or shaking. It was like floating through space in complete silence. During the trip, Amanda looked out the window and saw amazing things. There were planets covered in purple oceans and moons that looked like giant flowers. She saw other ships flying around, some that looked like her husband's people made them, and others that looked completely different. "Who are in those other ships?" she asked. "Different species from our empire," Zefkar said. "We rule over many different kinds of people." Amanda noticed that his eyes changed to a yellow color when he said this. She did not know what yellow meant yet, but something in his voice made her feel a little worried. When they arrived at Zarian 3, Amanda saw a moon that was covered in huge buildings. The buildings were round and tall, reaching up toward the sky like giant mushrooms. Their ship landed on a platform near the biggest building. "This is the main entertainment complex," Zefkar said as they walked toward the building. "My family has been coming here for thousands of years." As they walked, Amanda saw other people who looked like Zefkar. They all had the same diamond-like skin and tall bodies. But she also saw many other types of beings. Some were small and furry, others were tall and thin with long arms. Some had scales, others had feathers. All of them seemed to be working, cleaning, or serving the diamond skin. "People. Are those people workers here?" Amanda asked. "In a way," Zefkar said. His eyes were yellow again. "They serve important purposes in our society." They entered the building through huge doors that opened by themselves. Inside, the place was even more amazing. The walls were covered in lights that moved like water, and there were fountains that shot up liquid that looked like liquid silver. The air smelled like flowers Amanda had never experienced before, but as they walked deeper into the building, Amanda started to hear sounds that made her feel uncomfortable. There were loud noises like shouting, and something that sounded like metal hitting metal. The sounds got louder as they walked. "What is that noise?" Amanda asked. "The main attraction," Zefkar said. "Come, I will show you." They walked through a long hallway and came to a balcony that looked down into a huge round room. Amanda looked down and could not believe what she saw. In the center of the room was a big circle surrounded by high walls. Inside the circle, two creatures were fighting each other. One creature looked like a giant lizard with sharp teeth and claws. The other looked almost human, but with green skin and 4 arms. They were hitting each other with weapons and trying to hurt each other. Around the circle, hundreds of diamond-skinned people were watching and cheering. "What is this?" Amanda asked, feeling sick to her stomach. "It is a combat arena," Zefkar said, like he was talking about the weather. "These beings fight for our entertainment. It is a very old tradition in our family." Amanda watched in horror as the lizard creature knocked down the green-skinned being. The crowd cheered louder. The lizard creature raised its weapon to finish off the other fighter. "Stop this," Amanda said. "They are going to kill each other." "That is the point," Zefkar said. His eyes were now red, which Amanda had never seen before. "The winner lives to fight another day. The loser serves its purpose by providing entertainment in death." "You mean they die for fun?" Amanda could not believe what she was hearing. "They are lower species," Zefkar explained. "They exist to serve higher species like us. Some serve by working, others serve by fighting. This is how the galaxy has always worked." Amanda felt like she was going to throw up. She watched as the lizard creature killed the green-skinned being. The crowd cheered and threw flowers into the arena. She saw that some of the beings in the crowd were eating and drinking, while they watched like this was a normal fun activity. "I want to leave," Amanda said. "But we just got here," Zefkar said. "There will be 10 more fights today. Some of them will be group battles. Those are very exciting. Please, I want to go back to our room." Zefkar looked at her with confusion. His eyes changed to a purple color she had not seen before. Are you feeling sick? The gravity here is different from your home planet. I am sick, but not from the gravity, Amanda said as they walked back to their ship. Amanda's mind was racing. She kept thinking about what she had seen. Those creatures who died in the arena looked intelligent. They had been trying to communicate with each other during the fight. They were not just animals. They were people, and they were being killed for entertainment. Zefkar, she said as they got back to their ship. Those beings in the arena, are they prisoners? Some are prisoners? Yes, he said. Others are bought from their home planets. We pay good money for the best fighters. You buy people? We buy lower species. Yes, it is a normal business. Their planets sell them to us, and we provide them with food and shelter until they fight. Amanda felt like the world was spinning around her. She sat down in a chair and tried to understand what she had just learned. Her husband, who seemed so kind and gentle, was talking about buying and selling people like they were objects. Are there humans in those fights? She asked, afraid to hear the answer. Zefkar was quiet for a moment. His eyes changed to a dark color. There have been some humans, yes, but not many. Your species is still new to us. What do you mean? Not many? Maybe 20 or 30 humans have fought in the arenas across our empire. They were very entertaining. Humans fight differently than other species. They never give up, even when they are dying. Amanda felt tears coming to her eyes. She realized that other humans had been captured and forced to fight and die for entertainment, and nobody on Earth knew about it. Where did these humans come from? She asked. From ships that came into our space, Zefkar said. Some were explorers, some were traders. When they entered our territory without permission, they became property of the Empire. Amanda remembered that Earth had sent several exploration ships into deep space over the past few years. Some of them had disappeared and were never heard from again. Everyone thought they had accidents or got lost. But now she realized they had been captured. The crystal pendant around her neck started to feel warm. She touched it and suddenly felt dizzy. For just a moment, she thought she heard voices in her head, but they were too quiet to understand. Are you feeling better? Zefkar asked. Yes, Amanda lied. I think I just need to rest. But as their ship flew back to their hotel, Amanda knew that everything had changed. The man she had married was part of a system that captured and killed people for fun. And somehow, she had to find a way to warn Earth about what was really happening in the galaxy. Dr. Amanda Clark stood in front of the largest mirror she had ever seen. The reflection looking back at her seemed like someone else entirely. She was wearing a dress made from fabric that looked like it was woven from starlight itself. The material moved and flowed like water, changing colors as she breathed. Silver threads ran through the dress like tiny rivers of light, and when she moved, they sparkled like stars. Today was her wedding day, and she was marrying an alien prince. 6 months ago, Amanda had been working in her laboratory in Chicago, studying samples of alien plant life that had arrived on the first diplomatic ship from the Velthari Empire. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied life from other planets. When the Velthari had made first contact with Earth, Amanda had been chosen to be part of the team that would study their biology and culture. She never expected to fall in love. Prince Zefkar had arrived on Earth as part of the diplomatic mission. He was tall, much taller than any human, with skin that looked like it was made of diamonds. His face was beautiful in a way that seemed almost impossible, with eyes that changed colors depending on his emotions. When he was happy, his eyes were blue. When he was curious, they turned green. When he looked at Amanda, they turned a warm gold color that made her heart race. The first time they met, Amanda had been so nervous that she dropped her tablet computer. Zefkar had picked it up for her, and when their hands touched, she felt something like electricity run through her body. He had smiled at her, and his eyes had turned that beautiful gold color. "You study life," he had said in perfect English, though his voice sounded like music. "I would like to learn about life on your world." That was the beginning of everything. Now, 3 months later, Amanda was standing on the Velthari homeworld, preparing to marry into the royal family of an alien empire. The planet was more beautiful than anything she could have imagined. The sky was a soft purple color, and there were 3 suns that painted everything in warm golden light. The trees looked like they were made of crystal, and they made musical sounds when the wind blew through them. "Dr. Clark?" A voice spoke behind her. Amanda turned to see her assistant, a young Velthari woman named Lyra. Lyra had skin like pearl and eyes like silver. "It is time." Amanda nodded and took a deep breath. She followed Lyra out of the preparation chamber and into a long hallway. The walls were covered in paintings that seemed to move and change as they walked past them. Amanda saw images of space battles, beautiful planets, and creatures she had never seen before. "Are those paintings of history?" Amanda asked. "Yes," Lyra said. "They show the growth of our empire over the centuries. We have brought peace and order to over 800 worlds." Amanda stopped to look at one painting more closely. It showed Velthari ships arriving at a green and blue planet. The planet looked a lot like Earth, but it had 2 moons instead of 1. In the painting, the people on the planet were raising their hands toward the ships, as if they were celebrating. "What happened to these people?" Amanda asked. Lyra glanced at the painting. They were integrated into the empire. They found their proper place in our society. Something in Lyra's voice made Amanda feel a little uncomfortable, but before she could ask more questions, they arrived at the ceremony hall. The hall was enormous, bigger than any building Amanda had ever been inside. The ceiling was so high that she could barely see it, and it was covered in lights that looked like real stars. Thousands of people filled the hall, and Amanda could see beings from many different species. Some looked almost human. Others were completely alien. At the front of the hall was an altar made from a single piece of black stone that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Standing beside the altar was Prince Zefkar, wearing robes that looked like they were made from liquid gold. When he saw Amanda, his eyes turned that warm gold color, and he smiled. Amanda felt her heart skip a beat. Even after 3 months, she still couldn't believe how beautiful he was. More than that, she couldn't believe how kind and gentle he had been to her. He had spent hours learning about human culture, had read every book she recommended, and had listened patiently as she explained Earth's history and customs. As Amanda walked down the aisle, she saw the human delegation sitting in the front rows. Ambassador John Parker was there, along with General Kate Morrison and several other Earth officials. They were all smiling, proud that this marriage would cement the friendship between humanity and the Velthari Empire. Behind the human delegation sat hundreds of Velthari nobles. They were all tall and beautiful, with skin that sparkled like gems. But as Amanda passed them, she noticed that many of them were whispering to each other and giving her strange looks. She told herself it was probably just curiosity about humans. When Amanda reached the altar, Zefkar took her hands in his. His hands were warm, despite their crystalline appearance, and she felt safe and loved. Emperor Kolthane, Zefkar's father, stood behind the altar. He was even taller than his son, and his skin was darker, almost black like the altar stone. His eyes were a deep red color that never seemed to change. When he looked at Amanda, she felt like he was looking right through her. "We gather today," the Emperor said in a voice that echoed through the hall, "to witness the joining of 2 beings from different worlds. This marriage represents the friendship between our peoples and the beginning of a new era of cooperation." The ceremony was beautiful but strange. The Emperor spoke in the Velthari language, and Amanda heard the translation through a small device in her ear. There were rituals she didn't understand, including one where she and Zefkar shared a drink from a cup made of crystal that glowed with its own light. When it was time for the vows, Zefkar spoke first. "Amanda Clark of Earth," he said, "you have opened my eyes to new ways of thinking and feeling. Your species has a capacity for emotion that amazes me. I promise to protect you and learn from you for all the days of my life." Amanda felt tears in her eyes as she spoke her vows. "Zethkar of the Velthari, you have shown me wonders beyond my imagination. You have been patient with my questions and gentle with my fears. I promise to stand beside you and support you as we build a bridge between our peoples." The Emperor raised his hands, and the entire hall fell silent. "By the ancient laws of our empire and the new bonds of friendship, with Earth, I declare you join in marriage. May your union bring prosperity to both your species." The crowd erupted in cheers, but Amanda noticed that the cheering came mostly from the human delegation. Many of the Velthari nobles applauded politely, but their faces showed no real emotion. After the ceremony, there was a huge celebration. The hall was filled with music that sounded like nothing Amanda had ever heard before. It was beautiful and complex, played by instruments that seemed to be made of light itself. Tables appeared from the floor, covered with food from dozens of different worlds. Amanda tried many new foods, some of which tasted wonderful, and others that were so strange she could barely swallow them. Zethkar stayed beside her the entire time, explaining what everything was and making sure she was comfortable. "Are you happy?" he asked her during a quiet moment. "Very happy," Amanda said, and she meant it. "Though I have to admit, this all feels like a dream." "It is real," Zethkar said, taking her hand. "You are now a princess of the Velthari Empire. You will see wonders that no other human has ever seen." As the celebration continued, Ambassador Parker approached them. "Congratulations, Dr. Clark," he said. "This is a historic day for humanity." "Thank you, Ambassador," Amanda said. "I hope I can live up to the responsibility." "I'm sure you will. The Velthari have been wonderful allies. This marriage will strengthen the bonds between our species even more." Amanda noticed that Emperor Colthane was watching their conversation from across the room. When their eyes met, he nodded to her, but there was something in his expression that made her feel uncomfortable. Later in the evening, the Emperor approached Amanda and Zethkar. He was carrying a small box made of the same black stone as the altar. "A wedding gift," he said, opening the box. Inside was a pendant made of crystal that seemed to contain moving lights, like a galaxy trapped in glass. "This has been in our family for thousands of years. It is said to contain the wisdom of our ancestors." The Emperor placed the pendant around Amanda's neck. The moment it touched her skin, she felt a strange tingling sensation, like mild electricity running through her body. The pendant felt warm, almost alive. "Thank you," Amanda said. "It's beautiful. Wear it always," the Emperor said. "It will help you understand our ways." As the celebration finally wound down, Amanda and Zethkar were escorted to their private chambers. The room was incredible, with walls made of crystal that showed the stars outside. The bed looked like it was floating in the air, held up by some kind of invisible force. "Are you tired?" Zethkar asked. "Exhausted," Amanda admitted, "but happy. This has been the most amazing day of my life." "It is the beginning of many amazing days," Zethkar said. "Tomorrow we begin our honeymoon. I want to show you the wonders of our empire." As Amanda settled into the strange but comfortable bed, she touched the crystal pendant around her neck. It was still warm, and she could swear she felt it pulsing gently, like a heartbeat. She wondered what the asterisk